Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome aboard. I'm Laura, the PR and content manager here at Explore, and I'll be your host for today's session as we navigate through some truly unforgettable waters. We're so pleased to have you joining us from all over the country and beyond, and we've got an exciting journey ahead. We're going to kick things off with a quick introduction to Explore and what makes traveling with us so special. Then I'll be joined by three fantastic colleagues who are going to take us on a virtual voyage to some of the most breathtaking cruise destinations all around the world. They're going to share stories from their travels, offer some insider tips, and give us the lowdown on the best times to visit and what to expect from these three very different Explore trips. We'll then wrap things up with a live Q&A session, an exclusive special offer, and yes, a prize draw you're not going to want to miss. But before we dive in, here are a few tips just to help everything sail along smoothly. Everyone's automatically on mute, but we'd love to hear from you. We'd love you to get involved using the chat and Q&A functions on Zoom. So in the chat, drop us a line, let us know where you're tuning in from, if you've traveled with Explore before, or you've ever joined one of the cruise adventures we're talking about today. We love seeing where our global community is joining us from. If you've got any questions, pop them in the Q&A section. We've got a team of experts on hand with us today who'll be answering as we go along, and we'll save some of the most popular questions for the live session at the end. If you need to step away or leave us before the end, don't worry. We're going to record today's event, and you'll get an email later this week with a link to the recording, a handy FAQ summary, and details of today's special offer. So just before we set sail, a quick intro for those of you who might be new to Explore. Obviously, some of you may know us well already, but for anyone just discovering us, welcome. Here at Explore, we offer over 350 small group adventures across more than 100 incredible countries. Whether it's classic discovery tours, walking holidays, cycling trips, polar expeditions, or unforgettable family adventures, our trips are designed for curious travelers looking for meaningful, immersive experiences. We've also got a brand new collection, Explore Upgraded, which is everything you already love about an Explore trip, with upgraded hotel stays for a little extra comfort after a full day's exploring. So what makes people fall in love with traveling with Explore? Well, on our trips, you won't just tick off those big name sites, but also uncover hidden gems that most travelers never even hear about. We believe in truly experiencing a destination, not just observing it, which means more meaningful moments and real connections and spontaneous detours that can't be planned in advance or replicated again afterwards. Our incredible tour leaders are at the very heart of what we do, and any of you that have traveled with us before will attest to that. With deep local knowledge and strong community ties, they'll unlock experiences you'd never find in a guidebook, whether that's watching the sunrise from a remote lighthouse or joining in on a Diwali celebration with a family. And of course, they're there all the way through to make sure that every detail runs smoothly from start to finish. Our groups are small, around 11 people on average, and are led by expert local guides and packed with those wow moments you'll remember for years to come. Sustainability is at the very heart of our business. We only work with local partners who share these values, and we're really committed to making a positive impact everywhere we go. And we're really proud that our travellers choose us for their holidays again and again. We received FIFO's Platinum Trusted Service Award, with customer ratings consistently over 4.5 out of 5. And we're also a B Corp certified business, joining a global community of companies that balance profit with purpose. So enough of me. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined shortly by three of our absolutely brilliant product experts behind our program of trips, Ali, Yvonne, and Anthony. And not only will they be sharing some incredible cruise destinations with you during their presentations, but they're part of the team who are answering questions behind the scene as we go. And then don't worry, we'll bring them back at the end for a live Q&A. So you'll have a chance to hear more from them then as well. But before all of this, I'd just like to hand over quickly to our sustainability expert, Hannah, who's going to tell us a little bit about how we work with local communities.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. My name's Hannah, and I'm Explore's sustainability specialist. And I just wanted to share something that runs through all of Explore's adventures. The chances are that when you travel, some of your strongest memories are linked to the people you meet along the way, and your memories are likely to be filled with the connections you made on that holiday. It's the locals that share their food, their culture, their landscapes with us that really make our trip special. And that's what Explore trips are all about, the local. Today, you're going to hear about crews working magic in tiny galley kitchens to share their favourite dishes with you, about getting to meet local communities in remote Maldivian islands, and tour leaders that really help you connect with the destinations. And we're really proud that our trips champion the local and put money into the local economy. But we actually want to do even more than that. And the Explore Foundation is how we give back that little extra to the destinations we visit. The foundation is a registered charity. It's run by a board of independent trustees. And when you travel on an Explore tour, we actually make a donation on your behalf. And that money raised supports grassroots initiatives that empower people and create opportunities. So far, we've provided bikes to help women in rural Tanzania access education. We've helped keep elephants in their natural habitat in Thailand. And we've installed solar panels in India, allowing a weaving cooperative to focus on running their business rather than worrying about keeping the lights on. So if you want to see a bit more about what your holiday supports, have a look at the website. It's the Explore Foundation, and there's loads of detail there about the projects we support. But for now, I'll hand you back to Laura.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's always great to hear some of the fantastic projects that are being supported by the Explore Foundation. Now let's dive straight into the incredible destinations we're going to be exploring today. We'll start in beautiful Greece, sailing around the serene shores of Evia, and from there we'll head east to uncover the tropical treasures of the Maldives, before wrapping up with a real bucket list cruise adventure, traveling down the Nile and discovering the wonders of Egypt. And along the way, we'll explore not just the stunning scenery, but the rich history, vibrant cultures, and mouth-watering local cuisine. Plus, we'll give you a clear picture of what to expect if you're thinking about joining one of our cruises to these unforgettable places. So I'd like to welcome Ali, who will whisk you off to Greece. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everybody. I have actually had the pleasure of experiencing all three of these boat trips that we're discussing today, and they are all wonderful in their own ways. I personally think that there's something truly special about traveling by boat. There's no need to constantly pack and unpack your bags, and it really allows for a slower pace of travel, so you can really unwind and enjoy your surroundings. I love the sound of water in general, but nothing really beats that sort of gentle lapping noise of water against the side of the boat. To me, that's sort of absolute bliss. And I think most of you that have joined us today have joined for that exact reason. You have the same interest in this sort of travel. So I'm going to talk to you about the Greek cruise here, and I have a very long history with that trip. Back in May 2004, this was my first ever Explore trip, and I was training to be a tour leader at the time, and was sent out to Greece to Thanos and his boat for a week to learn from him and the experts. And he really is an expert, and it was, you know, with very good reason that they sent me to him. And 21 years later, his trips are still among the best and the most popular in our brochure. So why do we go here? Well, Evia, we cruise around the west coast of Evia Island, and Greece, as you know, has many islands. There's more than 1,000, and about 230 of them are inhabited. Evia is the second largest of these islands, and that's after Crete. And Evia is also one of the most underrated. It's easily accessible because it's so close to Athens. It's a holiday spot for Athenians, and it's often overlooked by package tourists, which makes it more appealing for us. You get to enjoy the charming villages, beautiful beaches, the mountains, the forest, but with no package tourist mass market centres. So it's a really authentic Greek experience. So let's talk about the crew. Now, the crew are a vital element of this holiday, and Thanos is the tour leader for this trip, and he's the guy in this picture on the right-hand side in the stripy top. He has a longer history with Explore than I do, and his connections to the water and the island of Evia stretch back even further than that. He's very much a local celebrity. He receives an extremely warm welcome wherever he goes, and you traveling with him are an extension of that. And it really does feel like you're part of his family. So we charter his boat every year for numerous amounts of weeks throughout the summer and operate this trip with him. Then the other two gentlemen seated in this picture are Peter and Vangelis, and between them, they whip up a storm in the kitchen. They keep all the cabins clean and tidy, and they take care of the boat and do most of the sailing. They're a small but perfectly formed team, and they've been working together for more than 30 years. And stepping onto the boat with them really feels like you've been welcomed into the family. And I can say that from experience. And I've never felt any more welcome or in safer hands than I have on that Greek trip. And there's nothing about Evia, sailing, or Greek hospitality that these guys don't know. They're an absolute delight to travel with. So next, let's move on to the boat. So it's a historic listed traditional kaiki boat, which is an old fishing vessel, and it's been converted with cabins so that we can have the liveaboard experience. The boat has a large sun deck at the bow, space to sunbathe on the top deck, and it's got a cool and airy indoor galley, which is the dining area. So there's shady spots underneath canopy if you want to retreat from the sun. There's a ladder off the back of the boat for getting back on board after swimming. There's sunbathing mats, snorkeling gear, all provided. And there's a freshwater shower on the back of the deck as well. So when you come out of the sea, you can wash off the salt water before relaxing on deck. Now, if we talk about the cabins and the layout of the boat, the cabins are quite small, as you'd expect for a boat, and especially a small fishing boat like this. There are 8 customer cabins and crew quarters. We have 6 cabins on the lower deck, and they're all twin share like this picture here. And the bunk beds are slightly staggered. So they're not directly on top of each other, which is great because the cabins are small and this gives you a bigger sense of space rather than one being right on top of the other. It also means you've got better access to the window, and the cabins all have windows, not portholes. So it allows for ventilation. The windows can be opened. And the 2 cabins that are on the top deck have double beds. So the cabins are either twin configuration like this or the double beds. They all have an ensuite bathroom, which has a toilet, a sink and a shower, and it makes what is basically a wet room. So there's no shower cubicle, just a shower to hose off in that bathroom area. And then, as I said, it's a historic listed vessel, so there's few alterations that can be made. We can't put in fancy air conditioning, but we do provide fans, and the cabins do get hot. And if you don't want to sleep in the cabin, an option is to sleep on deck, and that's a really magical experience, and one that I'd recommend everyone did at least one night on their trip anyway. So sleeping on deck, that's my top tip. Definitely have a go at that. It's a lovely experience. And we've also got Wi-Fi on board, so that's if you want to connect with the outside world, you can. The bottom left picture here shows you the galley, the communal eating area, and the top picture on the left is where you would relax on deck, and the picture to the right is just one example of the many sort of swimming spots and bays where we get to drop anchor, jump in and have a lovely cooling swim in the sea. So the itinerary itself, well, it balances sailing, swimming and exploring on land. These are sort of the classic scenes that you're going to see. And that middle picture there is the Bay of Marathon, and it's absolutely stunning. We spend quite a lot of time sailing around and dropping anchor and enjoying the wonderful blue waters. And it's magical, absolutely magical. That's me, I'd be happy for the week. But we also explore on land as well. And we visit some small coastal villages. You can hike up to Castello Rosso, which is a Venetian 13th century mountain castle, the picture on the left here. And it's got great views from the top. It's well worth the short hike up there. And the itinerary, whilst we're talking about it, is worth mentioning that it's very flexible, and that's to account for weather conditions. So Thanos and the crew are experts. They will sail on to the next port. But if the weather conditions are strong winds that day, maybe you'll go to drop anchor where we were planning to do that in 3 days' time, for example. And he will read the weather and make sure we have the most comfortable trip by shuffling days around. And then food. So Greek food is fantastic. And for me, whenever I'm traveling, I'm always really interested in what I'm going to be eating. So what to expect. So on board, you have all of your breakfast and all of your lunches included on the boat. And they're mainly vegetarian meals, but it's not vegan. There are eggs, there's cheese, lots of wonderful fresh salads, grilled vegetables, and everything's served as like a family style sharing plate. And you just get stuck in. So lots of stuffed peppers, tzatziki, stuffed vine leaves, what you'd expect, traditional Greek food. And then when you're on land, so your evening meals, you'll go to all of Thanos's favourite tavernas, basically. He'll take you to one and tell you what maybe you might want to order from there. And then that's where you'll get to try things like the grilled seafood, lots of fresh fish. The fish is amazing in Evia, but also grilled meats. And he'll introduce you to the Greek wine, which is absolutely delightful. And it's amazing how much of an appetite you can work up when actually you're just snorkeling or relaxing on deck for large chunks of the day. But anyway, enjoy all of the food. Most dietary requirements can be catered for as long as you tell us in advance. So we can cater for celiacs and if you have gluten intolerance, but we can't guarantee 100% no cross-contamination. So you would have to decide on the severity whether that's an issue for you. And that's basically because the galley kitchen is so small that the preparation of any food, it's a possibility. But do let us know if you have any dietary requirements or concerns, and we'll give you all the information that you need to make the right choice for you. And then the last night on the trip. So we spend the last night on land in a hotel called the Galaxy Hotel in Charistos. And the picture here on the left is one of their standard rooms that we would be booking in. We've graded this hotel as simple, and that's just because there's no plush furnishings as such. It's very comfortable. It has ensuite facilities. And once you step off the boat, it's actually a really nice opportunity just to unpack your bag properly and then repack it before traveling home, and also gives you a day to try and get your land legs back before you head on home. And then the picture on the right shows you the view from the hotel. So that's the bay and the marina area. So a lovely last night. Then this also gives Peter and Vangelis an opportunity to really clean the boat out thoroughly and restock it ready for the group that will join the following week. So what I'd like to do now is actually introduce you to Thanos. We've got a short video here, and he will give you another flavour of this tour.
Hello, I'm Thanos. I come from Athens. I've been working with Explore for 30 whole years. My father, my grandfathers, all captains in the Merchant Navy. So I can tell you, I'm full of salt water. I operate the unique boat trip. We live for a week on a boat, and we just take the spices of life afloat. A true leader, a captain, a friend. What I love most, we all become a family at the end of the week. And there's nothing better to see these people coming back again and again. Being on the boat at sunset, when the sun starts to come and melts inside the water, it is an amazing, divine place. Bringing them out to an non-touristic place, to an unknown place, to a place off the beaten track, to me, number one, it's food. It is food that everyone is looking forward to try, to sample the freshness, the very pure ingredients and the different settings. Lunch on the boat, dinner in the seaside taverna, breakfast afloat makes it all.
Wonderful. So that's Thanos. He'll be the captain and the tour leader for the holiday. If you fancy something a little bit more active, we also have a walking version of this itinerary. So you can live aboard the boat for a week, but do extended trips on land each day and longer hikes. And we also offer a family itinerary as well. So if you're looking for a wonderful, relaxing week filled with exploring, swimming, and maybe just reading on deck and enjoying some incredible Greek food, then I think this trip and being looked after by Thanos, Peter and Vangelis might be the one for you. So whilst you're considering that, I will hand you over to Yvonne, who is going to whisk you off to the Maldives.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ali, for a great cruise through the area of Evia in Greece. Sounds very exciting. I'd like to book on that one myself. And I have the absolute pleasure of taking you through the Maldives for your next cruise destination. I was very lucky to get to go to the Maldives just before COVID, and it's an absolute adventure through tropical waters, pristine, clear snorkeling, etc. So I'm just going to run you through this in the next 10 minutes. So to just give you a little bit of an introduction to the Maldives itself, it is made up of 26 different atolls, and atolls are a group of coral reef islands that form in lagoon formations and that are surrounded by lots of little small islands. The 26 atolls actually make up over 1,000 islands. The length of the Maldives is longer than the length of Britain. It's 500 miles in length, and it's only 80 miles wide. So, and only 200 of these islands are actually populated. Another great thing about the Maldives is it has a constant temperature between 25 and 30 degrees centigrade, so a beautiful eternal sun destination. It's very multicultural, having been settled by Arab traders historically, by the Portuguese, the French, the Dutch, and even the British. So you've got an absolute multicultural destination here as well. The main income on the islands is fishing, but obviously you've today got tourism. Travel and tourism is a very growing income to the area, and also lots of agriculture and some great souvenirs as well. Our route itself, as you can see, starts in Malé at the top, which is where the airport is. That's the capital of the Maldives. To the north, you've got some of the more bigger resorts and more populated islands, including Malé itself. And our adventure is going to take us into the south. So we're going to go down to what are called the southern atolls, much more remote, quieter islands, getting that chance to immerse yourself into the Maldivian culture. I'm going to start off with a little bit about my 5 favorite experiences and the things that really stuck in my mind after I came back from the Maldives. And the first one really that did was the crew. As Ali's mentioned, you know, the crews on these boats are really the be all on these holidays. They do so much for you. You will have a tour leader throughout the trip who will meet you on the first day and stay with you throughout till the end. And you will also obviously have the captain of the boat. You will have your private chef on board and 1 or 2 assistants, depending on the size of the group. And I'll run through a little bit more about them later on in the slides. The second highlight, as has been spoken a bit about Greece as well, is the food. The food is just incredible. What they manage to produce in these small galley kitchens are like massive banquets. The food really stuck with me. And then obviously the main highlight has been the marine life. I have been lucky enough in my 30 years in the travel industry to go to many snorkel destinations, including the Caribbean, Mexico, Belize. But I would actually say that the snorkeling in the Maldives was second to none. The marine wildlife was just amazing. And then my last 2 highlights really were sunsets and relaxing. The boats are just so beautiful. You can sit on them. You've got 360-degree views, the sunrises, the sunsets, and you just feel on top of the world. I am going to do one little logistical slide here, what to pack. I didn't have a GoPro, but I did borrow a GoPro from a friend, and it was the absolutely best thing I ever did. Didn't really know how to use it, but they taught me how to use it on board and jumped in the water, and I've got some of the most incredible footage from my holiday. The water was just so clear. The footage was incredible. Another suggestion is you're in the water quite a lot. So what they refer to as rash vests or rash t-shirts, the tight t-shirts. I wore cycling shorts as well, just to protect my back and my bum from the sun. It does get quite exposed. You're on a barefoot holiday, really. Once you're on the boat, you're on barefoot. But I would suggest just a little pair of sandals or a flip-flops are absolutely fine for the landings on when you get off the boat and onto land. No other fussy footwear needed at all. And sunscreen. We obviously, it is it is a Muslim country, so we do suggest that women take scarves with them whenever they're going onto the landings or when you do the tour of Mali, as there are occasions that you do have to cover your shoulders and cover your heads if you're visiting a mosque. So that's just a handy tip. And the little cross over the bottle over the glass of wine is not a "you cannot drink." It is because it is a Muslim country. You're not allowed to take alcohol into the country. So don't take any duty free in. Don't buy it at London or Gatwick or at your departure airport. It will be taken off you on arrival. But don't worry, there is alcohol on the boat, so you will be able to drink on the boat. A little bit about the boat itself. So as you can see, this is what we refer to as a donie. It's a traditional sailing boat. Historically, they've got a great history, these boats, and historically they were used mainly for fishing and for the moving of cargo and trading between the islands. But through time, many of them have been done up, they've been converted, and they are now used for cruising the islands and exploring. Our trip itself has the first night in Mali, so that's on the island of Mali, on the capital. So we do have one night in a hotel, and the hotel is literally one block away from the marina. So you arrive, you get transported to your hotel. There is an afternoon tour of Mali with your tour leader, who will give you a big introduction to the culture, the history, everything about the Maldives Islands themselves. And then after that, you overnight in the hotel, and then you walk to the boat in the morning. As I said, it's only a block away. And then you're all set for the next 7 days and 6 nights cruising around the southern atolls. Our boat is called the Gulfan, and this is a picture of it, as you can see on the slide. It's a 3-decked boat. So there's what they call the lower deck, which is where all the accommodation is. There's 5 double rooms that have allocated bathrooms to each room. And then above that, you've got what they refer to the main deck. I sometimes refer to it as the middle deck. And that is the big front platform, which you can do your sunbathing, your reading, your relaxing, having your sundowners. And then on the back of that, there is a covered area, and that's where you will be having your meals, your lunches and your dinners and your breakfasts as well. And then there's a top deck, that's what I call the 360 degrees deck. That's where you can just stand and feel that you're on top of the world. That's also where, on occasions, like Ali was saying in Greece, is that you can sleep on deck as well. The cabins themselves are cozy. They're very cozy. You can see a picture here. They are all bunk beds, but you can see there's a space underneath where you can put your bags. We do recommend that you take a soft bag, which can fold up and just squeeze underneath, rather than a big hard case as well. You've got plenty of shelves around the cabin, and you've got little windows along the side and a fan, which will keep the cabin cooler at night. But if you do find that the cabins are getting quite hot, again, an amazing experience to sleep on deck under the stars. And there's a photo of the toilets. It's a bit, again, like a wet room. It has a shower head in it. It's got ambient temperature water in it. And there is also a shower head up on deck where you can wash off the salt water when you come out the sea, but you have your own allocated bathroom as well. A little bit about life on board and what would be on a daily itinerary. It can vary. It's at the captain's discretion what you would do, obviously depending on the winds and the weather. If there is rain, quite rare, but if there is rain, he would obviously be in control of what we do in our itinerary. But in general, a daily itinerary, you'd get up, have your breakfast, and then you'd set sail. You then either stop at a snorkel destination, or you would land onto one of the islands and go do some on-land exploring, and then back on the boat, and then off to another destination, either to snorkel or to land on an island, and then on to another destination. So it's a very flexible itinerary on the boat. You're full board on the boat, so all of your meals are on the boat. There'll be 2 reasons for you to leave the boat. One is to enter the water, and the other one is to go on land. Entering the water is just, as I said, it's stuck with me ever since I heard about the Maldives and how beautiful and clear the water is, but I didn't actually believe it until I got there and I saw it. It is the most incredible marine life that I've ever come across. Just to throw a few statistics out there, there's 180 different types of corals. There's over 1,000 different tropical fish. 20 different types of dolphins and whales, 5 different types of turtles, including the green turtle, 5 different types of rays, and even little Nemo and his family. They're all out there, the amazing, colourful tropical fish. And if you're really lucky, the dolphins will come swimming alongside the boat as well, but there's nothing better than being in the water and seeing them. The boat does have all your snorkel equipment on board. We do ask you your feet size before so we can have all the fins ready for you, but you may wish to take your own. Perfectly good conditioned, good quality snorkeling equipment on board, but you take your own if you wish. There's also noodles for those who are a bit less confident in swimming, which are like those flotation devices that you can sit on top of and just look at the water below you. The other reasons that you'd be getting off a boat is to land onto the islands. You get onto the islands by the zodiacs or dinghies, as you can call them. There's a picture up at the top there, and the crew will just go back and forward and drop you off and give you a designated time to come and pick you up. You are free to just go and do some self-exploration. The tour leader will also give you a little bit of an introduction to the island and the way of life, but you're free to go around and immerse yourself into the Maldivian way of life and meet the locals. These are the real highlights and the great experiences on the islands. Go to the markets, do a little bit of souvenir shopping, which is one of my favorites, and just really get to know what it's like to live in the Maldives. There will be a couple of cultural experiences as well on the islands. One of them is a drum and dance night, which is incredible, that you listen to some of the lovely Maldivian music, and they have some local dancers. You are welcome to participate if you want, but you don't have to. But that's a great cultural evening. And then what really was a highlight for me was the barbecue on the beach. And this is where the crew cook the barbecue for you on a secluded island. So you've got the whole island sitting there to yourself on a beach under the stars having a barbecue. Absolutely incredible. Everything from grilled fish to fish kebabs, grilled chicken, meats, lots of vegetarian options, fruits, salads, everything, all there, just having it all to yourself. It's just incredible. And that brings me on to really what is the last slide and the biggest highlight of these trips, the food. I'm still in awe of how that tiny galley kitchen, what it does produce. You're full board on the boat, so you do get breakfast, lunch and dinner. And obviously you've got the dinner in Mali and then you've got the dinner on the island, but everything else you're eating on the boat. The breakfasts themselves they're very you can get eggs, you can get toast, you can get fruits and salads, but you also will get a couple of Maldivian specialities in there where you do sometimes get fish for breakfast, but it's incredible. It's really great. And then the lunch and dinners are a bit of a mix. Again, Maldivian dishes, but also you will get some what I would call more European, more continental dishes with spaghetti, rice dishes. You also get curries, lots of fruit and veg, fresh fish caught as well. So it's just incredible. They also do a Maldivian banquet night where you get a chance to taste all the local specialities as well. So it is, as I said, a fantastic experience, and you will not forget the food, I can tell you, and you will not go hungry. Just a quick one on the bar on board. So you can get alcohol on board. They've got a very well-stocked bar, and you can pay for that at the end with either credit card or cash. There is fresh drinking water, tea, coffee, and fruit juices that are available throughout as part of the trip. However, the bar is run on a tab. So just in a quick summary, it's an 8-day trip with 7 nights, 6 of which are on the boat. This is an all-year destination. As I said, beautiful temperatures all year, sort of 24 to 30 degrees centigrade, very pleasant. We don't have any departures around the June-July time. A little bit of rain in August, but the June-July time is really because they take the ships out of the water, maintain them, freshen them up for the season. And then another great thing, that if you're going to go that far in the world, it is worth combining it with a little bit of extra travel elsewhere. And we do combine with Sri Lanka and India. Very easy to combine the Maldives with those destinations. We also have a family package for Sri Lanka and the Maldives as well, which is a great experience for you all. So that's my little journey through the Maldives. Again, you know, as Ali said, if this is your sort of, you want to live on board, enjoy food, see the most incredible marine wildlife in the world, this is the trip for you. I'm now going to hand over to Anthony, who is the program manager for Africa, who's going to take you on your next cruise through the Nile.
Hello, everyone. Well, thanks to Yvonne there and also Ali as well. Two fantastic destinations. And a big thank you to everybody for all your questions as well. Please do keep them coming. We love your questions. So we're on hand to answer those as we go along. So please do keep those questions coming in. Right, well, let me take you on a metaphorical journey as we travel from the Maldives, across the Indian Ocean, through the Gulf of Eden, up the Red Sea to Cairo for our wonderful 10-day trip through Egypt. This is a fantastic destination. Been lucky enough to have traveled there a few times. So I'm going to share my personal insights on this trip and talk you through the itinerary to start with. So we're going to start in Cairo. And look, this is quite a fast-paced trip, but the wonderful thing, and that for me, the highlight of this trip is the 4 days upon the riverboat cruise along the Nile. So that's really the centerpiece of this trip. But the tour starts in Cairo. And we've got a couple of nights in Cairo before we get the overnight sleeper train from Cairo all the way down to Aswan. I'm a bit of a train geek. I love a train and I love an overnight train. It's a wonderful way of seeing the country. You go to bed in Cairo and then you wake up as you're heading between Luxor and Aswan. So it's a lovely start to the trip there. So we've got a couple of days in Aswan and we'll join our riverboat cruise and we'll spend 4 days on a sedate journey through the heading upstream up towards Luxor. That's where we will spend 3 days towards the end of the trip. And I'll give you some insight into the wonders that is Luxor. So it's a fantastic spot. So that's the summary of the 10 days. Let's jump on to the next slide now and start with our time in Cairo. So we've got a central hotel here, which is right on the banks of the Nile, perfectly placed for our sightseeing here. And there's no doubt that the highlight here is our time seeing the pyramids and the Sphinx as well. It really is. It's one of those, you hear about it, you've read about it, you've probably seen it on TV, but it's one of those sites which is it's sort of, you have to pinch yourself when you see it. It's incredible to see them actually close up and personal. So we obviously go and see we spend some time. We spend a whole morning at the pyramids and we see the Sphinx as well. And the other thing that we do is we go and explore the bazaars and the alleyways and the souks of Cairo. It's a massive city. It's one of the biggest cities in Africa. It's really vibrant. Loads of market stalls and fantastic food, and just the whole atmosphere is really magical. So moving on to the next slide, one thing I want to point out here. So one of the things which we've recently introduced is 2 of the famous museums, and I'm just going to talk about the museum which is on my left-hand side. So this is the Grand Egyptian Museum, and it's a photograph of me there when I was lucky enough to visit it a couple of years ago. So this has been 12 years in the making, and I have to say it's actually a destination in itself. It's the most amazing building, but Irish architect, bizarrely, but it really does. It's a fantastic building, so when we're in Cairo, we're going to go and see the Grand Egyptian Museum. We'll also see the Old Museum, which is just off Tahrir Square. So between the two, it's a really great introduction to Egyptian civilization. And there's a picture there on the top right-hand corner of Ramesses II, which is an absolutely vast statue, which dominates the lobby. It's an incredibly impressive site. So we'll see the Grand Egyptian Museum, now pretty much fully open, not quite there. And we'll also go to the Old Egyptian Museum off Tahrir Square as well. Then we'll head down, get the overnight train, and our next destination is Aswan. And the contrast between Cairo, hustle and bustle, a city of several million people, and then this backwater that is Aswan. It's a wonderful pace of, just the whole pace of the trip just completely changes at this point, and you just relax and you just sit watching the Nile go by. It's really lovely. So we've got some inclusions down here. So we'll go to the Philae Temple. And this is a couple of shots here. Our first first real opportunity to discover the ancient wonders of the Egyptians. So we'll travel on a boat to the island that Philae Temple's on. And there's also the option of a Nubian dinner as well, which is well worth it. Lovely family that we have. We've shared and visited them for decades now. They're very, very hospitable and well worth it to go down there. There's also an optional tour at this point to go to Abu Simbel, right in the far south of the country for those that want to. It's a bit of a journey down there. It's about three and a half hours by bus each way, but well worth it. One of the biggest sites you'll see down in the south as well. So we're gonna board the boat. And we're going to start heading down, upstream, I should say, up on the Nile. And the pace of the trip here, from quite a busy start to the trip, it really slows down. And I think one of the wonders is just sitting on deck of the boat and just watching the world go by, all the farmers tendering their crops. So the actual banks of the Nile and sort of within a couple of miles either side is very rich and fertile, very different in contrast to the very arid deserts around. So it's just really nice just watching the world go by, and seeing locals passing villages, seeing kids kick a football around. It's a lovely way to travel. A couple of stops along the way. So we'll go to we'll stop at Edfu and also Koombo Temple as well. And our destination is the town of Luxor. And a couple of shots here. So we've when we arrive in Luxor, this is where really the big highlights, the big archaeological highlights are. So this is the picture at the bottom there. It's of the Karnak Temple and the Habu Temple as well, both of which we will see on our trip, and of course the Valley of the Kings as well. So one thing I would point out is that, as with all Explore tours, you will have an Explore tour leader, and just a word about them, because they really do make the trip. They're so passionate about their country, they're so knowledgeable about their history, and they really do bring the trips to life. So if you have a look at our webpage and have a look at the reviews of what people say, they do speak very, very highly of the leaders. They are incredibly passionate about their country and love to share their insight with our guests as well. So we've got 3 days in Luxor towards the end of the trip. So we'll dock and actually spend a night. Our last night, so there's 3 nights, 4 days on the boat itself, and the last night is spent in Luxor. And then we'll stay in a hotel for a couple of nights after that as well. And we'll go down. We'll go to the Karnak Temple, and then we'll spend a full day on the West Bank, which I think for me is the best part of Luxor. So we'll go to Habu Temple. The hieroglyphics and the pillars and just the history everywhere you look. It really is spectacular. These are just some shots which I took on my trip. And what's amazing is the bottom picture, which is actually taken in the Valley of the Kings in one of the tombs. Look at the colours. The colours. It's like it was almost. These are thousands of years old, and yet the colours are so fresh and vibrant. It's amazingly well preserved, and that's a large part due to the arid climate that you've got there. So moving on to the next slide. So I just want to talk a little bit about the boat that we use. So typically they have around 50 to 80 cabins. So that's the average. This one is 50 cabins. So let's have a look at the inside of the boats themselves. So you see, they're very, very comfortable. So you will have typically they'll be on 2 or 3 floors, and the top floor is more the public areas, and then the cabins are on the lower 2 decks, and you'll have the big restaurant where all the food is served, a reading room, and a dining room as well, and also a very spacious deck where you can sit and watch look at the banks and watch the world go by. So they are very comfortable boats, and they're very spacious as well. So it's by no means is it cramped. There's lots of space to move around. And then if we look at the next slide, have a look at the bedrooms again. Very comfortable here. Double beds or twin beds, ensuite facilities, and they again lots of space with balconies, so you can let the fresh air in. And if you want to have a little nap in the middle of the day, you can just retire to your cabin and have a little snooze. So they're very comfortable. And then moving on, so like Yvonne and Ali said, a big part of the trips with Explore is the food experience. And on this trip, on day 9 in the West Bank, we'll have a lunch with a local family. So I've got a picture here at the top left-hand corner of the family that will welcome our guests. And the Egyptian food, it is delicious. Obviously, big Middle Eastern influence here. I have to say, we were, we had so much, couldn't possibly finish it actually, but absolutely, delicious food, and vegetarians are very well catered for as well. So you'll be, you'll eat well on this particular trip, and then on the boat itself, you'll have all the meals are included, and they tend to be buffet styles, lots of fresh salads and meats and cheeses and breads and so on. So you'll be sure to be fed very, very well on this trip. So just to summarize, so this is a 10-day tour. The cruise itself is 4 days, 3 nights on board the boat, and then there's 5 nights in hotels as well, with 1 night on that overnight train. Egypt is a year-round destination. I would say that in the summer months, it is very hot there. So I'd say the best time of year to travel is typically sort of February, March, April time, and also September, October, and November, where it's a little bit cooler. It is possible to extend this trip and spend 3 days on the Red Sea as well, which is very popular. We do operate this trip in Ramadan, but the only thing to point out is that some services, such as restaurants and cafes, they tend to screen off the eating area. So although it is a slightly different experience, the place does come alive at night. So there's pros and cons in traveling over Ramadan, and we do flag those dates on our website. But a fantastic destination, and for those who haven't been, I would strongly recommend you consider that for your future holiday plans. So moving on then, I'm just going to wrap up by just giving a brief insight into some of the other sailing trips that we offer. So there's 3 which I'd like to mention. The first is Galapagos, where we have 9 different itineraries and a full range of vessels, from small vessels to slightly larger cruising boats, incorporating the Galapagos, but also some of these trips combine with Machu Picchu in Peru as well, and also Ecuador. So we offer a full portfolio of tours to Galapagos, of course, one of the iconic wildlife destinations with ecosystems which are unique, which endemic to lots of species which are endemic to the islands. So Galapagos, a big seller. Completely off on a tangent, our Brazilian Amazon river trip by boat. Now this is a really, really special trip. I have to say I would love to do this one. It's a trip. It's a 14-day trip which travels all the way down from Belém to Manaus. Part of the trip's actually on a public boat, so it gives you a real flavor for local living and local life. And then we switch to a private charter and head deep into the Amazon jungle on the River Negro. Wonderful experience, really immersive experience. One lovely part of the world, great for wildlife as well. And then something completely different are Iceland, Fiordlands and North Coast trips. So this is part of our expedition lineup. We have a full range of expedition boats going through to the Arctic and the Antarctic, and this trip just focuses on the Iceland, the North Coast and West Fiordlands. It's a 7-day trip, and you know, Iceland, wonderful destination. You know, from its from its lava fields and its rich wildlife, it's a great trip to consider there as well. So that's a tantalizing insight to some of the other trips that we do, but that's enough for me now. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm now going to pass you back to Laura, who will wrap things up.
Wow, thank you so much, Anthony, Yvonne, and Ali, for those 3 really informative and very inspiring sessions. I'm sure I'm not the only one to just be dreaming of sailing off into the sunset tonight with a delicious feast cooked by a local crew. It just all sounds incredible. And if you too are feeling inspired and ready to look into your own adventures, we'd love to help you plan one. Do get in touch with us directly or via our local travel agent, and we'd really love to help you get your holiday plans off the ground. And while you're dreaming about your next adventure, why not seek additional inspiration from a great book? We know that travel and reading are perfect companions, and we're often hearing from travelers looking for perfect reads to match their coming destinations. So we recently created the Four Corners Book Club, which is a place for our travelers to recommend their favorite reads set all over the world and to research new inspiring reads for future trips. So if you've been inspired by the destinations we've heard about tonight, maybe check out some complimentary reading lists online here at the Four Corners Book Club. Maybe Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile will be your captivating companion on a trip to Egypt, or one of Victoria Hislop's Greek set novels for your Aegean cruise, or one of my personal favourites, Gerald Durrell's My Family and Other Animals, albeit set in Corfu and not in Evia. We've just opened up the book club to non-fiction as well, so there's a whole load of great reading to be discovered in there. Still to come today, we've had some great questions coming in from all of you during the presentation. Thank you so much for those. The team's been hard at work answering them, and we've saved some of the most common ones to address live. So I'll get the team back in just a minute so they can answer those. And then after that, we'll be picking one lucky person at random to win the exciting prize draw. So let's welcome back Ali, Yvonne, Anthony, and Hannah too, actually, to answer some of the questions you've been asking us today. Hi, guys. Let's start off with a question for everybody. We've had an awful lot of questions about the cabins. So we're going to have a bit more detail from each of you about the cabins on these particular trips, and specifically about solo travelers. Can single travelers book a cabin?
Yeah, I'll start us off with that. So on the Greek cruise, single cabins are available. We only sell 1 per date, and that is because it then restricts the amount of people we can have on this holiday, and it is a very popular holiday. So if you are looking for a single cabin, and because you then need the whole cabin, the supplement is unfortunately quite high. So if you are looking to book a single cabin, then you want to get in early because they sell out incredibly quickly. What was the first part of your question there, Laura? I feel like it was a 2-parter and I've glossed over the first part.
Well, the first part was quite generic. I was just, any more information you can give about the kind of spec of the cabins,
yes,
if
right.
you haven't done so already. Thank you.
Yes, so what I was going to say from that point then is that the smallest cabins are the Greek Kaiki boat. So that is the simplest and the smallest of the vessels that we've gone through tonight. Next up is the Maldives, which you have a bit more space in those cabins, and the boat is slightly more luxurious. And at the other end of that scale, you've got Anthony's Nile cruise, which is very luxurious compared to the other 2 smaller vessels. So if you're looking for something small, quirky, unique, then you want to go to Greece. If you want something more romantic, Agatha Christie, you know, cocktails on the upper deck watching the sunset, then it's probably the Nile cruise.
I'm just going to chip in on the Nile cruise as well. So in terms of the availability of single rooms, there's no restriction there. There's you know, we have a because the boats are bigger, we have a full allocation of, so if you know, no problems with single rooms. The supplement 500 for those of you in the UK, £595 for the solar supplement. That's for the whole trip, and that includes the train cabin as well. I'm just going to point to a few questions about whether families, or so sorry, Laura, I'm just going to chip in. It's quite a lot of chat about the Felucca trip and whether we accept families. So the minimum age on our trip is 16. So, but we actually have a dedicated family tour, which I would really recommend, which goes on a Felucca. So I know there's quite a few of you here that have travelled with us Explore in the past and travelled when a traditional sailing boat. So we have a family tour. Definitely recommend it. It spends 3 nights on a 2 nights on a Felucca and stays in a homestay as well. So we do have a trip dedicated for the family market as well.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Anthony. I've got a specific question for Ali. Can the Greek cruise be combined with any of the on-land tours that we offer, a walking trip perhaps?
Yes, absolutely. Any of the historical land-based itineraries you can link to the cruise. So you could do the Peloponnese Explorer for 10 days and then go on to the cruise around Evia with Thanos. We have a walking holiday in Crete that you can, on some dates, will match up and you could then go on and do the cruise in Evia. And your other option, if you were really keen and wanted to spend 2 weeks with Peter, Vangelis and Thanos, I think there's 2 dates a year where it marries up that the trip, there's a walking trip that follows a normal cruising week, the Greek cruise, and that happens I think once in June and once in September. So you could do the more active week, do the walking first, and then the more leisurely week afterwards. If you wanted 2 weeks aboard, then yes, you can opt for that as well.
That's brilliant, thank you. And a question for Hannah. Are our travellers able to visit any of the foundation projects, not necessarily in today's destinations, but in general?
Great question. Actually, at the moment, the projects we have aren't particularly suitable to visit. So sometimes it's not necessarily appropriate to take travellers there. We have some initiatives that are supporting children through education, and obviously we wouldn't want to take people into classes. We're quite disruptive when we turn up for things like that. So at the moment, it's more things that we are supporting and then leaving communities to make great things happen. And we're just lucky enough to fund them. But we are looking for things that we can potentially build into tours. So we have a project supporting Thailand's elephants, which is a really challenging part of the tourist industry. So we're just working to help develop a community-led tourism experience, which we hope to build into an Explore tour in the near future. So it's definitely worth having a look on the website. We will flag up where it's possible to visit. And the foundation's been going just for 18 months now, so we're relatively new. So we've got 7 projects that we are working with, and as it grows, we hope to bring in more that travellers can visit when they're in destination.
Fantastic. Thanks, Hannah. So yeah, a case of watching this space, I think. And there's more on our website and on the explore.foundation, more on that. It's 8 o'clock already, so I think that will probably be it for the questions, but we are still busily answering them in the Q&A. So if we haven't got to yours yet, we will keep them coming through. We'll be online for a little bit after today's session to keep answering those. And yeah, any questions about availability or single cabins, that kind of thing, do give our sales team a call about specific dates. They can always let you know what availability is looking like and what single rooms are available, that kind of thing. Next up, to finish us off, is our prize draw. The team will be drawing one lucky winner to win a mask and snorkel to take on your water-based adventure for that sea life that Yvonne talked us about, really to come to life. So we've selected somebody at random, and the winner is Natasha Hope. Congratulations, Natasha. We'll be in touch via email to get that prize sorted out for you, and we'll get that posted out. So all there is left to say is a massive thank you to my brilliant colleagues, both on screen and behind the scenes, for making today's event possible. And of course, thank you to all of you who are attended today and for getting involved on the chat and Q&A. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us. So keep an eye on your inbox over the next few days for an email with the event recording and a quick feedback survey. We'd really love to hear what you thought. I hope you've enjoyed the journey, and until next time, goodbye and happy travels.